Ahoy, me dusty dweebs! Gather round as I spin ye tale of swashbucklin, treasure huntin, and plank-walkin adventures. Today we're setting sail on the digital seas aboard Pirates Gold for the Sega Genesis, a game that'll have ye hoisting the Jolly Roger faster than you can say vast deep scurvy landlubbers and other campy pirate sayings like that there. In this classic, you'll be plundering ports, battling naval fleets, romancing the governor's homely daughter, and amassing riches fit for a king. A pirate king! Or even better, a king of the dweebs! Ha 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 ha! Yarrrrr! But beware, 'tis not a journey for the lily-livered. You'll need cunning, strategy, and a retro doodad fit for adventure on the high seas. So grab your cutlass, polish your peg leg, give your cat an eye patch or something, and let's dive into the pixelated high seas. Yo ho ho, and a save state of fun. Welcome, my friend, to the Dusty Game Society. We are a group of like-minded retro gaming and pirate enthusiasts who appreciate the finer things in life, like classic retro games filled with great gameplay and pixely nostalgia, and keel-hauling modern game company CEOs. Today we're here to talk about Pirates Gold on the Sega Genesis, a classic version of a long-running franchise dating back to the 1980s, if you can believe that. And if you can't, then you're probably too young to remember this. Or this, in which case you might learn a little something today about both pirates and yourself. So without further dawdling about the poop deck, let's dive in, shall we? I've been a big fan of the Pirate series for a long time. I played the original version on DOS on my uncle's computer when I was a kid. I was too young to understand anything that was happening on the screen, but I did enjoy seeing the pretty pictures and pretending that I knew how to play. Later in life, I got the remake version on the original Xbox, and I loved that game. That's one of my favorite original Xbox games, actually. However, the Xbox version that came out in 2004 was a remake of Pirates Gold for the Sega Genesis, which came out in 1993, which is a remake of the original Pirates, which came out in 1987. So it's kind of a chain of remake after remake of a very old game. And because I love the Xbox version so much, I always wanted to go back to the original and try it out. And I did, but the 1987 DOS version has not aged well. However, lots of retro gamers agree that the Sega Genesis version is the definitive retro Pirates experience, so that's it. My mind was made up and I gathered the dusty dweebs of the Dusty Game Society. We forged a dark pact while drinking grog by candlelight, and we set sail with the intention of discovering what a true retro pirate experience would be. Now, you might be looking at the screen and wondering what the heck this game even is. And the short version is that it's half strategy game, half action adventure, and half pirate life simulator. Basically, if you ever wanted to be a pirate from the 16-bit pixel game era but lacked the sea legs or a time machine, this is it. This is the one to play. You play as a captain during the golden age of piracy. You start out by picking your scenario, kind of what time frame you're playing and what's going on. You can give yourself a name and choose a nation to align with, who you'll probably betray, let's be real, and you set out to make your fortune. I think the idea of a hero pirate is a noble thing that's portrayed in media, but really the life of a pirate was just about stealing as much as possible to create a life for yourself and then bailing on the pirate life before you die. And that's what you're doing here. You'll plunder ships, raid towns, duel rival captains, and even rescue lost family members and find a wife, and then you choose when you're gonna settle down, and that's basically the end of the game. It's like living your best pirate life, but without the smell of unwashed pirates all over the place all the time. Unless your roommates or wife smell like unwashed pirates, then you'll feel right at home here. There is a story here, but it's very bare bones. It's more like a framework to give you a goal, because the game is super open-ended. You'll start by creating your pirate captain and choosing a background, like a dashing rogue or a savvy privateer, and then the game starts right in the action. You're dueling the previous captain of your ship, and spoiler alert, you win, and now you're the captain, and you're tossed into the Caribbean with a ship and a crew and a dream of fame and fortune. So there's a loose narrative about reuniting your family, which adds a bit of a personal touch to the chaos, but really, the story is whatever you make of it. Will you become a feared pirate who's wanted by every navy, or just a nice by-the-books trader who exploits alliances to get rich? The choice is yours, me hearty matey, me boy. The gameplay in Pirates Gold is kinda hit or miss. Some parts shine like buried treasure, and some parts are as dull as swabbing the poop deck. You're free to roam the seas, taking on different activities depending on your mood. As you sail, you come across ships and you can see them through your looking glass to figure out what nation they are aligned with. And then you can choose. You can, attack a Spanish galleon loaded with gold, or if they're an ally, you can hail them for information, or just attack them too. Eventually, you'll probably need to stock up on supplies so you can dock at a friendly port and trade goods at the store there. Or if it's an unfriendly port, you'll get attacked. Or you can attack them. If you want to shake things up, you can go and raid a town or go off on a hunt for buried treasure. The game's open-ended structure lets you decide how to carve your name into pirate history. It sounds fun, and it is, but there is some rough edges, and very often your objectives are unclear. Like lots of retro games, you need to make sure to pay attention and maybe even take notes so you don't forget the things you're told and where you need to go and what you need to do. But there's lots of fun to be had once you learn what you need to do and follow the various threads through to their conclusions. And of course, there's also ship battles, which are pretty simple, but there's lots of strategy. It kind of feels like a game of cat and mouse, and you need to learn how to position yourself and use the wind to be able to use your cannons to shoot the enemy or board them. And then when you do board them, you and the enemy ship captain face off in a duel, where you'll sword fight in a kind of mini game that's equal parts timing and strategy, at least in principle. The duels kind of suck. They're important, but the actual mechanics are just janky and old feeling. Just look at what you're seeing and picture if a fighting game was released and this is how it looked and played. Obviously, no, this isn't good gameplay. It's awful. It's not a huge part of the game, and you can get away with button mashing 99% of the time. I think I lost maybe 2 or 3 duels in the entire month that I was playing. You will also manage your crew who are, let's say, high maintenance. You gotta keep them fed and paid, but mostly entertained. They'll get all mutinous whenever you haven't attacked anything for a while. It's actually annoying how hard it is to keep them happy. It's like being a pirate babysitter. Except unlike real babysitters, you can just split your loot and cut your losses and leave the crew at your nearest town and sail away. I guess real babysitters can do that, but they tend to end up in jail for it. Just like real pirates, I guess. Maybe this is realistic. For a Sega Genesis game, Pirates Gold looks pretty solid. I really enjoyed the overall vibe of the graphics. I think it looks really good. The colorful 16-bit sprites do a good job of bringing the Caribbean to life. There's a few different ship designs and they're unique enough looking, and the character sprites during duels are hilariously expressive, even if they all have the same 3 actual faces. There's not much here by way of graphics. You'll see the same stuff over and over, but what's here is good, so I'm not too fussed. Yo ho ho, the music in this game it's good. There's not music all the time. Very often you can just hear the sea and the waves, but there is some good jaunty tunes that come up and it's all very piratey. The sound effects are serviceable. Cannons boom and swords clash and waves crash. Basic stuff, but it gets the job done. Although if you're like me, you'll turn the sound down after a while because the same cannon sound effect on repeat can get a little grating. I actually ended up often playing this while also listening to some pirate music compilations on Spotify. Overall, I really liked the game. I don't know if I love it, but I like it. Like the open-endedness and the vibrant, interconnected world, and even the actual sailing and combat was fun. The trading, I like that. I wish I could do more of that without my crew getting all annoyed that I'm not fighting more, but it's not all smooth sailing. The controls can be a bit clunky, especially during naval battles. Sometimes you'll feel like you're wrestling with the wind just to get your ship to go where you want. I mean, I guess that's realistic, but in this game, it's hard to know how much of your inability to maneuver is because of the game physics and wind versus just being janky and glitchy. The pacing can also be hit or miss. Some parts of the game are actually fun and exciting, like when you're raiding a port and it's touch and go, or completing tasks like finding lost family members or uncovering buried treasure. When you're actually able to follow through with the clues and find what you're looking for, it feels really rewarding. Other parts like trading goods or negotiating alliances or keeping track of where you need to go to do something, it can feel like pirate paperwork, not exactly the stuff of legends. And really that's just because the game lacks some of the modern conveniences that we get in games today. Things like quest logs and tracking your tasks. It's just like many retro games, this game doesn't hold your hand at all. There's a halfway decent game manual which I definitely suggest you read, but there's no tutorial. No, here's how to be a pirate in 5 easy steps guide. You're thrown into the deep end and expected to figure it out. I mostly enjoyed learning how stuff worked, but I can't promise you will. I think Pirates Gold is a special game in the story of gaming history because it's an early example of an open world game. Games from this era didn't typically have a massive open world giving players the freedom to explore and plunder and chart their own course. And of course, there is a long history of pirate games, and this is one of the most famous classic pirate game series like ever. So I think it's realistic to say that this game paved the way for modern pirate games like Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Sea of Thieves. Without Pirates Gold, who knows if we'd even have Skull and Bones? And where would we be without that game? It's also a great example of Sid Meier's genius as a game designer. Keeping in mind the era that this game came out, the mix of strategy, action, and exploration was probably groundbreaking at the time. And despite the gripes, most aspects of it still hold up well today. Lots of it is a bit dated, but as a whole, it's like a fine rum. Aged to perfection. I hate the taste of rum. I'm more of a root beer guy myself, but pirates didn't drink root beer, and that's not my problem, that's their problem. I feel bad for them, to be honest. And also, one of the reasons that we here at the Dusty Game Society do what we do, playing Pirates Gold today, is a reminder of how far games have come. Plus, you get to shout "Arr" a lot. At least I did, until my mom threatened to ground me for waking her up at 3 a.m. Pirates wouldn't care about waking up their mom though. So I still said "Arr" just loud enough that I didn't get in trouble, like a real pirate would do. But this is just one dweeb's opinion, and the Dusty Game Society isn't a one dweeb show. It was a busy month because we played this in December, and I think lots of the DGS members were busy with Christmas and New Year's and stuff, so I just have a handful of final thoughts that I collected. Starting with I Forget Things. They never heard this game before trying it as a DGS Game of the Month, and they found it was fun right off the start because you get dropped into a sword fight, but they found it was hard to find the balance between making money, managing the crew, and hitting long-term goals, which is a metaphor for real life if you think about it. Kamimoto125 got a little bit confused because they tried a few pirate games trying to figure out which one to play, but they found their way in the end. Found the game had a steep learning curve, which I totally agree with, but was a fun nostalgia bomb. And they got married, so congratulations Kamimoto, I wish you a long and happy life together. AJP had played the remake and was excited to try the original. Found the core mechanics rough around the edges and gave it 4 out of 5 pieces of 8, but gave the remake 5 out of 5 mugs of grog. And AJP, keep your comments about the governor's daughter to yourself, she's spoken for. This is Krills Wilson's first time playing a game with the Dusty Game Society, and they were hooked. Had fun playing with their family, completed 3 out of the 10 pirate quests, so well done on that, but will probably stop playing because they want to play some more impressive games on their Zazbiddy. I can't blame you for that. 6.5 out of 10 peg-leg parrots. This is the Shibushi's first time playing a pirate simulator game and found it interesting that such an old game had so much openness to it. Found the historical depth fascinating, liked the ability to go wherever and do whatever, whenever. Liked how you can basically choose when the game ends too, because you can retire as a pirate whenever you want. So it's kind of like, do you keep going and risk it all, or do you just retire with what you have? And it's more about seeing how far you got on your playthrough. Davio played the early version on the PC back in the day and really enjoyed playing the Genesis version with the DGS this month. Enjoyed the wild button mashing of the sword fighting and will keep playing the game into the new year. Thanks for joining, buddy. And thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. The Dusty Game Society is a perk that I offer to the patrons of TechDweeb. Each month I pick a retro game for us to play, we play it, natter about it like drunken sailors at the tavern all month long, and then at the end of the month I collect everyone's mini reviews to share in the video. It's like a chance to be a famous retro game reviewer, but mostly it's a chance for me to give something back to those swell scallywags who support my work. And if you fancy joining the crew, there's a link down there in the description below. Arr, me hearty, a great big yo-ho-ho to ye for joining us as we sail off into the pixelated sunset. I hope you'll give Pirate's Gold a whirl, and if you do, may your adventures be as bountiful as a chest of doubloons guarded by the friendliest sea monsters. Until next time, keep your cutlasses sharp and your retro doodads sharper.